Have you ever moved into a new place, completely exhausted, surrounded by boxes, and then realized you still have to deal with setting up the utilities? Yeah, we've all been there. It's usually incredibly frustrating. You just want an easy, stress-free experience so you can finally take a hot shower. Well, welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to look at the fascinating, wildly different administrative frameworks behind getting access to that basic human necessity, tap water. We usually take it for granted, but the bureaucratic maze behind turning on a faucet is absolutely wild.
So imagine this. You've just packed up your entire life and you've moved to a town called Durham. Your very first task is to set up your water service. Sounds simple enough, right? But here's the catch. The exact process you're going to face, the specific forms, the fees, the inevitable headaches, it depends entirely on which of the many Durhams on Earth you've just moved to.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our agenda for today. A tale of many Durhams, navigating the bureaucratic maze, deposits, fees, and activation, the cost of consumption, modernizing the water bill, and we'll wrap up with the utility multiverse.
All right, Section 1, a tale of many Durhams.
The name Durham actually spans multiple jurisdictions globally, and as you can see, each one has a completely different service philosophy. For instance, a resident moving to Durham, Oregon, or County Durham over in the UK can often get their water turned on with zero setup fees. It's incredibly low friction, sometimes just a quick phone call or a web form to verify who you are. But if you move to Durham, North Carolina, or Durham region up in Ontario, Canada, you're facing a highly structured process, specific upfront charges, and some pretty stringent document checks. It's like a totally different universe.
Which brings us to Section 2, navigating the bureaucratic maze. If you're a newcomer specifically to Durham, North Carolina, understanding how to set up your water service online efficiently is absolutely crucial if you want to avoid some major pitfalls. So here's your step-by-step guide. First, gather your documents. Do this before you even open your browser. It'll streamline your setup process immensely. Once you've got everything, you'll go to Durham's official water service website and navigate to their secure, encrypted form center. A huge pro tip here, make double, triple sure you enter your service address and personal info perfectly. Typos here are a super common mistake and they cause massive delays. After you apply, you pay your fees and then you wait. You have to apply at least one business day prior to activation, but in reality, you're often looking at a 3 to 5 day queue for a field crew to physically come out and activate the meter. And hey, if you run into any troubleshooting issues like delayed activation, weird billing, or tech glitches on the site, you can always reach out to the Durham one-call support team at 919-560-120. Now let's zoom in on that first step, gathering your documents. The identity requirements in North Carolina are hyper-specific. If you're renting, you need an undoctored lease with full signatures from everybody involved. You need your social security number, your date of birth, standard stuff, right? But here is an incredible legal quirk you really need to watch out for. North Carolina General Statute actually mandates that any driver's license copy submitted online must be in black and white. No joke. If you upload a standard color photo of your ID from your phone, it could literally stall your entire application. And when you're filling out these forms, remember, you're entering a binding legal agreement. Listen to this direct quote from the Form Center application terms, because it really highlights the legal weight of this utility application. It says that if your final remaining deposit credit is less than $5, it's automatically contributed to a water hardship fund. If you actually want that $4 back, you literally have to submit a formal written request to the city of Durham. It just goes to show you how precisely structured every single dollar is within this bureaucracy. Moving right along to Section 3, deposits, fees, and activation. Speaking of dollars, let's look at the specific financial hurdles you have to clear just to get the water flowing, starting with $50. It's a striking figure. This is the non-negotiable service initiation fee billed to your first statement for the administrative setup in North Carolina. There's no getting around this one. And then there's this number, $100. This is the base connection deposit for a standard residential meter. But here's an actionable insight for you. You can actually get this waived. If you can provide a letter of credit showing a 12-month positive payment history with another utility company, or if you have a prior Durham account in good standing, you avoid this charge entirely, knowing that one single tip can save you $100 right in the middle of an expensive move. Okay, Section 4, the cost of consumption. So, once you've jumped through the hoops and the tap is finally flowing, how much does the water actually cost? To answer that, we're going to shift our lens away from North Carolina and look at Ontario's 2020 User Rates Report. In this version of Durham, municipal rates aren't just arbitrary. They are deeply, precisely calculated based on operating costs, expected customer growth, and some incredibly detailed consumption projections. They use what's called a user pay system, meaning your property taxes don't fund the water system, your specific metered usage does. And this brilliantly illustrates what those consumption projections look like in reality. Notice that massive historical decline in residential base consumption starting around 2006? You might be wondering, why the sudden drop? Well, it's because water-efficient fixtures were actually required by the provincial building code, which drove usage down for years. But if you look at the right side, the curve flattens out. By 2020, they projected usage to level off at about 219 cubic meters per year. Essentially, the efficiency gains from new toilets and shower heads had just maxed out.
Now, because consumption leveled off but infrastructure costs kept going up, rates had to increase. For 2020, the region implemented a combined 3.2% increase. To put that into perspective, that translates to a very tangible $30 a year impact for the average resident. But here is the most fascinating detail buried in this financial report. The closure of a massive General Motors assembly plant in the area resulted in a 1% total revenue loss for the utility. Residential rates had to be carefully adjusted to absorb the shock of losing one giant industrial user. It really shows how everything in a local economy is connected.
Next up, Section 5, Modernizing the Water Bill.
Managing these sprawling customer bases requires some major digital transformation, but our different Durhams handle it in very, very different ways. On one hand, you have Durham Region, Ontario, launching My Durham Water. This is a streamlined digital portal totally focused on user experience. Paperless e-billing, easy online meter readings, secure communication. On the other hand, Durham, North Carolina uses the Form Center. It's incredibly secure and encrypted, sure, but as we just learned, it is manually intensive. You're uploading black and white IDs, full lease agreements, and dealing with strict manual clearance of past due balances. It's two completely different philosophies on how to handle digital municipal service.
So the crucial point we're seeing here is the stark contrast in entry barriers across this utility multiverse. In North Carolina, you have high security, high fees, and rigorous documentation just to initiate a basic human service. But in places like Durham, Oregon, or County Durham in the UK, the philosophy is centered entirely on low friction. We're talking simple identity verification, zero initiation fees, and absolutely no upfront deposits to get your water turned on.
Finally, Section 6, the Utility Multiverse. Which brings us to the end of our journey today. We've seen how setting up something as fundamental as tap water can range from a 5-minute phone call to a multi-day bureaucratic marathon. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Is this hyper-localized, highly varied utility bureaucracy a necessary protective feature of decentralized government? Or is it simply an outdated inefficiency standing between us and the basic water we need in our homes? It's definitely something to think about the next time you turn on the tap. Before we go, a quick disclaimer. Utility procedures and policies change constantly, so always verify the current process and contact your local government offices for the most up-to-date information before you move. Thank you so much for joining me today, and if you found this explainer helpful, please hit that like button, drop a comment below, and subscribe for more.